Hey there, Arctic Fox. Welcome to the chat. All right, so Don went to court today for the DUI that he got back in October. All right. My first check on YouTube today was the headlines that Don was sentenced to 11 months and 29 days. Hi, Elizabeth. Turn this volume down on this other device. Got my sound check in so I know I can hear myself. So that means you guys can hear me. Hi, Tammy. Yeah, I'm working on it. I've spent the last few days, before we even get started on that, I spent the last few days working on some things to streamline the channel, just bring up the quality of like the videos that I do, and make it a way to present more content. Uh, yeah, I want a more, I don't know, I guess streamlined, a more consistent look to the channel. Okay, did you send it on Messenger? Let me get in there real quick and see if I see it. Okay, thanks. I am actually working on that project. Arctic Fox, I was working on that right before I went live, and I'm so excited about that. So it definitely will not be this Wednesday that I bring that out. It'll be next Wednesday when we start the Where Is Wednesdays. I want to take my time and make sure that the videos that I can get as much detail as possible in there. And I also want to make a few phone calls to get any updates straight from the agencies involved to see if there's like new information or whatever that I can put in there besides just the stuff that's already out there about those cases. All right, so Don went to jail today. He's going to be serving 11 months and 29 days in the county jail. Not prison, but the county jail. There is a difference. I've seen a lot of channels saying that Don is in prison. A lot of groups are saying Don is in prison. He is not in prison. There is a market difference, and it really has a lot to do with the type of time that you have, not necessarily the charge that you have, because we know charges get plea bargained and reduced and stuff all the time. So, generally speaking, anything under anything 365 days or less is generally county time. 366 days or more is generally state prison time. Then you get places like Texas that have this weird state jail thing that's like somewhere between county jail and state prison. I'm not real sure. I don't know, but it's a weird kind of in between gray area. Yeah, you're right. A lot of it's just it gets more clicks, but I just kind of believe in keeping it as truthful as possible. I mean, it's not like this case is a story that people aren't going to click on anyway. If you put Don or Summer's name in it, people are going to click on it just to see what you're talking about, even if they don't watch the whole video. So there's really no need to do all the outrageous extract. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, so there is definitely a difference. Now, I am not familiar with Tennessee's game time as far as like county jails or whatever. So the information I'm going to say right now is based on Florida. That's my home state, so I'm more familiar with like how things run there. Um, Generally, in county jail, like say you get sentenced to however much time in the county jail, 6 months, 1129, like Don. you usually end up doing, I think it's like 65 or 66% of your time if you get all your good time, your game time. So he is not going to do like a full year in the county jail. We know from his sentencing that he has to do at least 180 consecutive days in the county jail. That's 6 months. So he won't be out until at least, what is this, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. He won't be out until at least August the 7th of this year. So let's watch this little news clip. This is the best one with the most detail that I could find about his sentencing and his DUI situation. So let's watch this real quick.
The father of missing Hawkins County 6-year-old Summer Wells is in jail tonight after pleading guilty to driving under the influence and violating probation. Don Wells appeared in court this afternoon. He was arrested October 30th for DUI last year while he was still on probation for previous charges of possessing a firearm while he was intoxicated. Our cameras were not allowed in the courtroom, but Bianca Murray was there. Bianca, what happened today?
Well, Josh, Don Wells was taken into custody immediately after appearing in court today, and he was sentenced to serve 11 months and 29 days. However, he may not have to serve the entire sentence since he now faces multiple offenses pertaining to alcohol. Wells may be eligible for probation again after 180 days and the completion of an alcohol rehabilitation program. While in court today, Wells claimed a toxicology screen from the night of the arrest in October returned without evidence of drugs in his system. Wells also said a blood alcohol screening taken that night returned with a level of 0.13. He told Hawkins County General Sessions Judge Todd Ross that he, quote, wanted to get away that night as he and his wife were arguing. He also said that he and his wife are taking classes to regain custody of their sons and that he still works a full-time job. Wells told the judge that his job was in jeopardy because of some protesters showing up at his work. Today, outside the courtroom, we saw a handful of protesters who also showed up. Now, it's important to note that no charges that Wells faced today pertain to his daughter's missing persons case. Now that's 6-year-old Summer Wells, and no charges have been filed for that case. Josh?
An important point. Bianca, I understand you had some interaction with Don Wells before he was taken into custody. What happened?
Well, Josh, I didn't exactly speak with John Wells today, but while in court today, he did show me a note that he had written, and I'll read it to you now. It says, "Thanks to everyone for all positive support. It's been very difficult."
All right, Bianca Murray live for us in Kingsport tonight. Thank you for the update. And next week marks 8 months since Summer Wells was reported missing by her family from their home in the Beech Creek area of Hawkins County. You can submit tips in this Amber Alert case with the hotline number 1-800-TBI-FIND. The father of missing Hawkins County 6.
All right, so that was actually pretty informative. I'm going to put this back over here towards the end. We'll just keep Summer up there while we're talking, unless we end up pulling up something else. I always want to keep her name and face out there and the information. And just as a reminder, I believe the reward for Summer Wells is $73,000 and some odd dollars right now. So if you just so happen to be in the groups, in the message boards, or in a conversation about Summer, just kind of slip that in there. Hey, it's almost $100,000 out there for information to help find Summer. Also, that reward is due to be turned over to the Child Advocacy Center on June 15th of this year, unless $73,700. Thank you. Unless they extend the date again, and I really hope they will. I think that reward money gives more incentive for people to come forward with information, even though it doesn't seem like people are talking. I guarantee you, TBI is still getting tips. People are talking. It's just not the right people who actually know what needs to be said. And also, and not disparaging any agency or whatever, but as we've learned, especially recently in the true crime community, when it comes to these different agencies, different government agencies, a lot is about money. So I kind of feel like maybe the fact that an agency is going to get $73,000 on a set date if Summer isn't found, you know, hey, you can complete that thought for yourself. Um, I'm really surprised that nobody has come forward. It is a lot of money. I mean, even when it first came up, like $35,000, that was a sizable amount of money for someone. And then it went up from to 50 something thousand, and still nobody talked. So 73,000. Maybe some of the YouTubers will get together and do another marathon, or we'll get some more bigger donations in, get it up to 100,000 or more, and maybe somebody will talk then. I heard somewhere that everybody has a price. I don't know how true that is, but I mean, maybe, you know, maybe the people who know something might have a price. The reward fund just hasn't hit their price yet. Let me check the comments real quick. Mm, I thought if you break probation, suspended sentence, you have to serve it. It depends. Judges really do have a lot of discretion when it comes to, like, say, let's say you had a charge. Somebody on my patio? That was odd. Okay, let's say you get 5 years probation for some crime, right? And you violate probation. Technically, the judge could sentence you up to whatever the maximum amount of time for the original charge. Like you might have got 5 years probation, but the charge that you had was maybe some first degree felony that carried 10 years. If you violate your probation, technically the judge can go in and give you up to 10 years because that's what your original charge carried. Most of the time, they won't do that. Usually, you'll see with probation, even felony probation, judges will tend to reinstate and give more chances. Sometimes they'll reinstate and add like community control or house arrest, which is actually two different things because community control is just basically you saying, okay, I'm going to stay home except for when I have to go somewhere that I'm going to let you know. I have to go to the doctor or the grocery store or school or whatever. And it's kind of a more trust based system. They're going to trust you to be where you're supposed to be at when you're supposed to be there. And if your officer randomly pops up and you're not there, then you could be in trouble. Whereas um, house arrest usually incorporates the GPS ankle monitor, and you can't really go here, you can't go there. You don't really have an opportunity to just sneak off like that and just go and do your own thing. So a lot of times they'll reinstate probation and they might upgrade it and add like, I'll put you back on probation, but we're going to add this much community control or this much house arrest or whatever. Then sometimes people will just take the time, especially like if it's county time, because when you think about it, sometimes a lot of the times if you do time you don't end up with papers. Like say if you were on probation, you violated, and instead of taking a reinstatement or a differently structured supervised uh period of time, you say, look, just give me the time. And they give you, say, 11 months and 29 days in county jail, like Don got. A lot of the times, once you do that 11 months or whatever in the county jail, that case is over. You don't have any supervision. You don't have any monies to pay out except for maybe court costs. You don't have to, be bothered with, you're basically free after that. So a lot of times people will take the time instead. I'm gonna go back and listen again, but it sounded like they said Donna's gonna have some supervision after this 11 months and 29 days. She did mention that uh, there was no drugs in his system when he took the blood test. Now, I don't know how much stock to put in that because when they did the DUI test, blood test for alcohol, I don't know if they necessarily would have been testing for other substances, but there's a very high likelihood because it wasn't just like necessarily specifically for alcohol, because that DUI or DWI could pertain to being under the influence of a variety of things. So maybe he did not have any drugs in his system. I know everybody likes to think that Candus and Don are just whacked out alcoholics, drug addicts, high and drunk every free minute that they can get, but that might not necessarily be the case, you know. Um, and then I think back to Alive, where Don was on there and they were saying that he was drunk and he was high, and you might know what I'm talking about. It was the one where they said he used the loo or the bathroom on the live, and that he was doing his stuff with his substances and utensils while he was on the live, but you didn't actually see that on the camera. So it could just be that Don and Candace have been playing a role for YouTube for the sake of likes, shares, views, money, whatever the motivation may be. And they're not actually out there on drugs and drunk like what they're portraying themselves to be in public. I mean, it could just be a persona. It could just, I mean, I don't know what their motivations could be or might be. I mean, maybe they're just trying to keep Summer's name out there. They say in Hollywood that any publicity is good publicity. So if Don and Candace's name are staying out there, guess what? By default, Summer's name is staying in the conversation. Uh, the man's been around, and he's been around the block more than a time or two. So, I mean, everybody's always saying how he's such a manipulator, this, that, and the other thing. So if he's that much of a manipulator, maybe he's got sense enough to manipulate the situation that if I get on this YouTube and this social media and I act a donkey and I got all eyes on me, people are going to keep talking about my missing kid. Who knows? Anything is possible. Let me scroll down a little more. Off on a tangent over creator. Yeah, I see this. Elizabeth. Let me. Oh, Elizabeth, I could really go off on a tangent over creators' videos that watched crying and boo-hooing over how everyone is being too mean to Don and Candace. Yeah, you have to take that one with a grain of salt. I guess it really depends on where you stand on that issue. Anyway. Yeah, that's another good thing. Stacey Price said that TBI has stated there's a very real possibility that Summer Wells just wandered off and got lost in the mountainous terrain. And I think people don't really give that as much weight or as much credence as they should. I mean, we keep saying we want to hear from law enforcement. We want to know what they know. We want to know what they're thinking, what their theories are. But then it seems like whenever they come out with a theory or a verification or of some kind that goes against what the masses think, and we all know that the masses think Don, Candace, guilty, hands down, no questions about it. So anytime that information comes out that says that they might not be, then people just kind of gloss over it, ignore it, whatever. So the fact that law enforcement said on December 12th, December 15th, that there's a very real likelihood that Summer Wells simply wandered off and got lost in the woods. I mean, we really got to give that more credence. It's hard to think that happens but it is possible. And who knows? Maybe she wandered off and something else happened to her afterward. Maybe she left that property just wandering away, got hit by a car, got snatched up by somebody on the road, came across a wild animal. You never know. But there are so many other real possibilities out there. Yeah, that's almost a 2-year salary. $73,700 is almost a two-year salary for a lot of people. That is definitely true. Elizabeth asked if they were in an area where she could wander into the woods without being seen, or whether they're in a more populated area. The area that they're in, and I'll pull up the aerial view on Google Maps. Rogersville, Tennessee. It's kind of hard to say, you know. And it's hard to say because I mean we can look at these maps and we can get like an idea of what's around there and how it looks, but you don't really know until you're actually there. So we've got them right here. Then they've got neighbors right here. This right here is some kind of, I can't tell if that's neighbors or whatever. But you see, there's not a whole bunch of houses right in there. So it's pretty sparsely populated, I want to say. And this is going down which way? Yeah, you got a lot of people on like the offshoot roads. Okay, get back up here to them. And let's go the other way. So yeah, I would think that it's possible that she could wander off in these woods without anyone seeing her. I mean, eventually, either way she went, she would have to cross a road. But I would think that some of these roads are not high traffic, and so it's possible that she could have crossed the road at a time when no one was really looking and just gotten deeper off into the woods at a time when there wasn't a car or something coming by for anyone to see her. Let's see. If Candace is being truthful about only being gone 10 minutes, it's unlikely that Summer would have wandered off so far that no one can find her. The 2 minutes, I really doubt. Um, I think if indeed Candace is being truthful, let's just take it for granted that Candace is telling the truth. She walked Summer over to the house, told the boys to watch her. I'll be right back. She walks over to do whatever she's doing with Grandis's knee brace. Well, that's going to take more than 2 minutes, period. Because first she has to walk from point A to point B. Then she's got to mess with this brace and straps and buckles or whatever is on there. They probably had a little chit chat, da da da. And then she walked back over to the house. She probably spent a few minutes upstairs, then asked about Summer, then went downstairs to the basement. So that's definitely more than 2 minutes right there. Um, it's more than 2 minutes just in the going over to her mom's place to fix her knee brace and come back. That's more than 2 minutes right there. So I'm gonna say 7 to 10 minutes. So in 7 to 10 minutes, it's quite possible that Summer wandered away so far that no one could even find her, simply because she had that head start. There's a video on my channel called "In 2 Minutes or Less," if you want to check it out. And I put together a compilation of kidnappings unrelated to Summer from around the world, mostly here in the United States. And it shows how quickly it could happen. A man walked into a crowded train station, walked off with a kid, 40 seconds. I think that was in India. A man abducted a whole grown woman, threw her in his vehicle, and left with her on the side of a public highway. I think that was like 59 seconds. But it's a compilation of videos like that. So it is more than possible that Summer could have disappeared in 2 minutes or less. It's easier to blame drugs or alcohol than the people who are just evil. True, it is. And I think that goes for a lot of things in our society today. We're so quick to say, this person has an addiction, this person has a mental illness. It is so easy to just push off just being straight up responsible, just being grown about being grown and taking responsibility for the things that you've done or the things that you caused or how your neglectful ways or your whatever has affected the situation at hand. A lot of people are just so ready to pass the buck. It's possible, yeah, okay. Too many people have never been or lived in areas that there are woods or forests and literally about their lands so people can do so people can and do get lost all the time. there's a channel on YouTube. The guy does nothing but videos about people who got lost in like national forests, on hikes, on camping trips, and we're talking about grown people who are experienced and prepared to be out in the woods, and they disappear feet away from other people, never to be seen again, or to be found years later, to be found in areas where the area has been searched multiple times, multiple agencies, dogs, radars, sonars, all this good stuff. And then years down the line, they find the person or the person's remains. So it's quite possible. Family tree. In Mississippi, a 2-year-old wandered off and was found exhausted 6 miles away. That's farther than the search perimeter for summer. Great point, Stacy Price. There was also the little boy a couple of months ago in Texas. I can't remember the name of the city. It wasn't a big city like Dallas or Houston, but it was one of the like smaller cities. He wandered away and was found. He was a little Latino boy. What was his name? He was found about 5 miles away from home a couple of days later. Tennessee is in Appalachia, so I know there are lots of undeveloped or unincorporated areas. True, definitely. If they're rural, cars may not be regular. They are indeed pretty rural. Law enforcement also stated they have reviewed surveillance footage from the area. 911 calls were at 6:30. TBI stated she was seen walking at 7. I'm gonna have to go back and look at that. I didn't recall them giving an actual time for when she had been last seen walking. I do recall that they said she was seen walking away. It was something like that, walking away from the property or walking away from home, walking down the road. I can't remember the exact wording, but I don't recall them having, and it's not David Politis, it's called missing something. Um, but I don't recall them doing it, saying an actual time. Let me see. It should pop up because I watch on this channel. I just watch a lot of like true crime stuff, so it should pop up here. It won't because I am on the wrong one of my profiles. What is it called? It's something like missing at adventures. It's a really good channel. This is one also, Missing Persons Mysteries. They do a lot of the same type of videos showing people missing, abducted, whatever, but unexplained disappearances. A lot of theirs are like in the woods, uh, in hiking areas, in national parks, different things like that. Yeah, I would have to get on my other profile to find it. If I can if I can remember, I'll put the link in the description of this video tonight because I know for a fact it'll pop up first thing on my other feed. But yeah, Dave Paulides does really good videos too. Yes, I have, and I plan to. Let me see what I can pull up. TBI Summer Wells update. But what I wanted to talk about tonight is what does that mean, Don being locked up for the next uh, 11 months, 29 days or less, 6 to 12 months. Let's just call it that. What does that mean for kids? Because Don is Don is the wage earner in the family. Don is the one who brings in the dollars to pay the bills and buy the groceries. And So what does that mean for Candace? How will she make it as far as paying bills, buying groceries? I don't know if their property taxes are due right now. Um, Paying the car note, the car insurance, registrations. That is a lot of responsibility to suddenly fall on someone who is not used to having to have that kind of responsibility. I believe they said they've been together for like 14 years or something like that. So 14 years of he's been the breadwinner and you've been the person at home, to suddenly have it fall in your lap that, hey, you got to figure it out for the next few months. Now, I do recall that Don said he has money in the bank, so it's possible that he has enough money saved that she would be able to take care of um, whatever is coming for the next couple of months, foreseeably, possibly. I don't know. Realistically, I think the main concern with Don is going to end up being that child support for him and for Candace, because they have to pay child support for their boys. I mean, she does. She works with him and she does do jobs with him, but it's not like she's the all out wage earner. I mean, I used to go to work with my husband sometimes. You know, he'd have a job and I'd go with him depending on what it was, but I didn't go on every single job that he did. And then the people that he worked with weren't going to call me and say, hey, you want to go out here and do this project or whatever? So, I mean, she's going to have to be the primary income source for herself. And it seems like that she hasn't worked pretty much ever. Okay. I'm pulling up the TBI page to see if I can find that information. Okay. Okay. Uh, okay, so it's not on that page. I'm doing a little research here in the background, guys. I found the article. So let's go to this page instead. Okay, it says, when and where was Summer last seen? And this is from WREG News in Memphis, so it's still in Tennessee. She was first reported as last seen Tuesday, June 15th, walking near her home on Ben Hill Road in the Creek community, wearing a pink shirt and gray shorts. According to her father, Donald Wells, Summer was planting flowers just before her disappearance, blah, 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 da, 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 da. There's the story downstairs to play with the toys. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation said a family member reported her missing to the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office around 6:30 p.m. that night. I'll keep looking because, yes, I do. It is Savage Says altogether I'm sorry, Miss Savage Says at gmail.com. Let me type that in here. Yeah, true. She doesn't have any kids in the house, so she could get on somewhere. The thing is she capable? I mean, is she capable? And is how realistic is it that with everything that's going on that she could possibly, you're welcome, she could possibly get hired? I mean, she could probably, if nothing else, get a job at a fast food restaurant or um, some kind of retail store, like one of the chain dollar stores or something like that. But the thing is, they're all over the news, they're all over YouTube. People, it's known that protesters came to Don's job, that they've been all over his property. Anyone in their area is going to be familiar with that. Yeah, a gas station. Anyone in their area is going to be familiar with that. And then you have to think they're going to have to consider their own business. You know, the job that Don had, he can kind of get more leniency with people coming up to his site and acting a fool because he works for pretty much a small family owned business. There's way more leeway in that than there is in, say, working for Family Dollar or Walmart or Texaco. That's a big corporation. So they're not going to take kindly to people coming up to their place of business with cameras and whatever else and talking crazy, yelling and, screaming accusations. And I would assume that any manager at such a corporation would be aware of who the Wells are, and they would be extremely hesitant to hire her and run the risk of having that kind of drama go on in a place that they manage. I mean, personally, because I've owned my own businesses, if I were in that area and she applied for a job, I probably would give her a job. But I'm a small business owner. If I were managing in a major retail, which I've done in the past, more than likely I wouldn't hire her because then I have to worry about what's going to happen at my establishment. Not only are people going to come up here protesting and acting a fool and running my customers away, but what if one day one of those people takes it a step too far? So then I have to worry about not only this property that I manage, but the safety of the people that I manage. Yeah, you're right. Some people even require I was actually just talking about that with my daughter the other night, and some people are actually require you to allow their company access to your social medias like Facebook or whatever as a part of the hiring process, which personally I think that's a bit too far because like me, my personal Facebook page, the only reason I ever got a Facebook page is because I had moved to a different state and all my family was back home. I really only made a Facebook page so that I could keep in touch and keep up with what was going on in my family. Who's having a baby, who's getting married, blah, blah, blah. I was posting pictures of, my life events or whatever. So I wouldn't want an employer on my Facebook page because it's none of your business who I date or where I live or if I went to a party last week or, it's not your business. I mean, I don't need you on there seeing who my family is and everything else because why? What does that have to do with my ability to do this job? But then again, sometimes, I mean, like in this case right here, at least you can get an eye full and know what you're dealing with, what you're signing up for. So yeah, I mean, she may have a chance of being able to get hired on by like a small business owner who's willing to uh, kind of deal with all the things that are going on around her right now. But I don't see her being able to get like a full or part-time job at some other place. I really don't even think Candus has any marketable skills other than helping Dawn on the job. And I mean, if it's anything, I mean, I used to help my husband fix cars, but that don't make me a mechanic. I know how to pass him a quarter inch ratchet or, something like that. But aside from where the gas and the oil go, you better not let me mess with your car. You will be buying a new one. So she might not actually have any marketable skills. And then there has always been the question of, does Candace have any type of developmental disabilities? So we don't even know that Candace would know how to count, how to read well, maybe some minimalistic. We don't know what her education level is. She could be a genius for all we know, but chances are she's not. I mean, would she be able to understand policies and procedures and how the steps that have to be taken in the course of most jobs? Because most jobs want things done a certain way, in a certain order, at a certain time. Yeah, the church may help her. And honestly, she's got her mother still living there on the property. And with just her there, the bills really shouldn't be that much. Maybe if they have any past due bills, like, they haven't quite paid the light bill in full at all time, whatever. So, but with just her on that property, possibly her and her mother, then they should, between the two of them, be able to. I mean, I'm a hustler though. I mean, I do it all. I will scrap metal. I will pick up cans. I will work a real job. I will work in your office. I will work in your restaurant. I'm just a hustler. But that's me. But if worst came to worst, I know how to get out there and make some honest side money. You know, use what you got to get what you need. She's got a truck. I mean, if nothing else, she can go scrapping. You ain't really got to have no kind of skills to do that. So, she'll probably be all right. Now, another question is, how could his incarceration possibly affect Summer's case, even though it's not directly related? And I don't expect that Dawn, she could possibly be getting SSI. I've thought about that before too. Um, she could very well be getting SSI or SSDI. And if that's the case, then she really shouldn't have anything at all to worry about while locked up, since she doesn't have like a high rent that has to be paid every month. You got taxes once a year. So it's really just paying the bills and taking care of her essentials: food, clothing, whatever. If she wants to drink a beer or something. Um, I do wonder about her safety now that she's up there by herself. I mean, so far we've seen right here on YouTube where people are going to their properties, and even though some of them are eventually getting permissions, some of them were just doing it. They were just showing up on these people's property without permission, without invitation, you know, all in their yards, all in their woods or whatever. So there is the real question of her safety. And there's the one that I saw on Twitter who, although they eventually got permission, they didn't initially have permission. They were flying drones over the property, recording those people in their yard or whatever. So who's to say that now that everyone knows that Don is not around anymore and it's just Candace and Candace Senior up there, that someone with bad motives might not show up on the property. So there's always the question of her safety, because regardless to what people think about their guilt or their innocence, truth is they haven't been arrested for anything to do with Summer. And law enforcement hasn't even directly come out and called them suspects or anything like that. They gave a blanket statement and said everyone is a person of interest until Summer is found. But yeah, I do wonder how this will affect Summer's case. Now, if we go with the theory, everyone seems to be 100% certain that Candace absolutely has to know what happened with Summer. Could this time alone be the time that it takes for her to either come forward about something that she knows, or push her to the breaking point where she says what happened if she's actually the person who did something? Who knows? Time alone can do some things to the mind. Exactly. Innocent until proven guilty. And on my channel, I mean, sometimes I get a little opinionated and I might say, just flat out that I think something or whatever. But when it comes to Don and Candace, I really made an effort to just kind of keep it at guilty. I mean, innocent until proven guilty, because honestly, I don't really know. And honestly, I don't even have a strong feeling about anything other than the fact that I really don't think Don had anything to do with whatever happened this summer. That's the only thing that I actually have strong feelings about, and it's not because I'm protecting him or like I'm not a stand for Don. Don is obviously not this like wonderful person who needs people to run to his defense and just really stand up for him. We've heard some horrible things about his past, even out of his own mouth. So, but based on everything that we do know, I just don't even see how it's possible that he could have had anything to do with anything that happened to Summer that day. I think this is going to be really hard on her. Don was protect over her. Now she is going to. You're right. One thing is, regardless to what we think of their relationship or of them as people, that's a man and his wife, and a man is his wife's protector. And you notice we really don't see Candace talking. We really don't see Candace on YouTube that much or, in the news or whatever. It's Dawn who is the face of the world, who the face to the world for that family. I know that when the things that happened in my life happened and I suddenly found myself without my husband, and no, he's not dead or anything like that, but I'll tell that story one day, maybe on the birthday live. But I felt so vulnerable because I was so used to having that protector, that head, that covering, that person that stands up, and it's a feeling that is hard to describe unless you have um lost a spouse suddenly, either in a situation like Candace's or a situation like mine, or your spouse actually died. It's hard to describe how it is. I mean, when you wake up next to someone every single day, you're with this person every single day, and then suddenly, just boom, nope, not anymore. It's it can be hard. And I don't just worry about her physical safety. I worry about her mental and emotional safety because it can be devastating. I mean, regardless of what anybody thinks about them, they're still human. You know, for all we know, they could very well just be innocent, grieving parents. So not only would they be dealing with the loss of their child, not knowing what happened to her, on top of that, dealing with everything that's coming at them from the internet. So yeah, I do worry a bit for Candace in this whole situation, and I'm actually trying to get back to. It's gonna be this one. Hold on, I'm trying to get Summer back up here on this screen. Let's see. I watched no one that judgmental. I've been I've been working with the missing and cold case rule. No one judgment. Everyone, someone, somebody. I think I kind of get what you're saying. Yeah, you can't really judge anybody because you never know with the way the world is today. And then I was thinking, I forgot what I was watching. I was watching some trial. I think, and I read a comment that kind of got me set on a train of thought because it was a trial involving like a murder. And the train of thought that I got on was how everyone is someone to someone else, regardless. I mean, when it all boils down to it, everyone is still human. Everyone is still has feelings. Everyone still means something to someone. If yeah, I don't care if you were raised in an orphanage, there's at least one person who cared about you because there was probably that one staff member that you were their favorite. You know what I'm saying? So when it all boils down to it, at the end of the day, we're still all human, you know. So I try not to come down too hard on them, uh, even though they do some really scandalous stuff. All right. I'm gonna get ready to close this live. It's been almost an hour. Um, if you didn't see it, let me play that for you, just in case you didn't see it. I decided that I am indeed gonna do a birthday hangout live stream just for the heck of it. So here is that. No, that is not it. That's Icket Mail. Let me get him up here. That was an accident, Icket Mail. Please don't strike me. Yeah, go back, go back, go back. I think I hit it too many times. So yeah, I am going to do uh, the birthday live stream. It's going to be an Ask Me Almost Anything. We're not going to get outrageous with it, but if you want to know some more of my story, you're going to be welcome to ask some questions, get a little more detail, maybe notice something I said in a video or a live before or whatever, and you might have wondered, well, what does she mean by that? What's the story behind that? And I'm also going to tell probably the most hilarious story of my entire life. I'm not going to tell you guys how old I am going to be, but I am 40 plus. Uh, Now, the comment about the past tense, it says, my whole issue is that they both talk about Summer in the past tense and they keep insisting she was abducted even after law enforcement has ruled out abduction. 2300 Central. So for you, that would be 9 p.m. Thank you. Uh, let's see. They keep insisting she was abducted even after law enforcement has ruled that out. Law enforcement actually hasn't ruled that out. They just said that they haven't found any evidence of that so far. And I believe his exact words were like, they haven't, well, I ain't gonna say exact because I can't remember, but I know he was basically said, we haven't found any evidence of that to this point. So that was said back in, I think, October or November. So we don't know what they found since then. They didn't really rule it out. They just said that so far they don't have any reason to think that as of right then. And the talking about someone missing in the past tense. Now, here's the thing, and I'm gonna try to say, like, paraphrase this the best way I possibly can. Because I am not, again, I'm going to throw it out there. I'm not a professional of any kind when it comes to law enforcement, psychology, medical, none of that stuff. So when you hear me talking about stuff like that on my channel, it is just personal opinion based on life experience or something that I've read, something that I'm interested in as a hobby or whatever. It is not because I work in that kind of field or anything or have any kind of like expert knowledge or something. The past tense, the article I read was by a professional, and they basically said that it's not abnormal in a case of a missing person to speak of them in the past tense because essentially when that person went missing, time stopped. Everything that, and I'm going to use Candus and Dawn as the reference, everything that they like can talk about Summer, it all happened in the past. It's not continuing to happen right now because she's not here. So it's not odd for them to say she was such a sweet girl instead of saying she is a sweet girl, since she's not here with them right now. It's not necessarily that they think or know that she's dead. It's just that everything about the dynamic and about their relationship, their encounters, their interactions, their thoughts, it all happened at a previous time, which was in the past. So, um, yeah, I will be back on Thursday with the homeschooling series. I'm gonna try to do this one a little more concise and actually just like write out a script about it so I can go ahead and get the information out and then we can talk about the case instead of reading articles because I don't really like doing long lives. I really don't. Um, I mean, I'm just gonna. I have people in my life right now that I speak of in the past tense, even though they're alive and well, and I know they're alive and well. You know, even when I talk to my kids, I might be talking to one of my kids about another one of their kids, and all my kids are alive and well. They're all healthy, happy, whatever. And I might be speaking of the kid in the past tense, not because it's something that happened years ago, but just I don't know. It's just context. Yeah, it really just depends on the context of the conversation, I guess, and the frame of mind that I'm in at the time that I'm talking. So, I mean, if I can dig up that article, I will definitely post it somewhere so you guys can read it for yourself and get a better understanding. I really was just kind of paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said. They're not speaking past tense because they know or believe she's dead, but because basically everything about them and her is something that happened in the past at this moment. So, oh yeah, but Thursday I will be back with homeschooling. I want to kind of speed that live up. I don't really want to do like an hour worth of that stuff. So it's going to be more streamlined than the first one was, where we kind of read articles and talked about the stuff along the way. All right, I got to be at the hospital for tests all day tomorrow. I'll catch the next live. Good night, everyone. Good night, Arctic Fox, and good luck with that. God, I hate having to do all those tests and stuff myself. God, I had so many doctor's appointments the last 2 weeks. I swear to God, out of 2 weeks, there was only 2 days that I wasn't in some doctor's office. My birthday is actually on the 26th, but I'm going to start the live at 11 that night and kind of just bring my birthday in with you guys. Then I'm going to get some rest and hang out with the family for the birthday. My baby girl is cooking my favorite meal for me. Um, my G babies are picking out my cake, and as long as it's cheesecake, we will be okay. And I'll probably just like do some video hangout with my kids that are out of state or talk to them on the phone. Yeah. Uh, so Thursday for homeschooling, more streamlined. Yeah, I don't really do a whole lot of big celebration. I'm gonna share an old birthday video with you. I might share an old birthday video with you guys that night. I might. It's kind of embarrassing. I was dancing and I have absolutely no rhythm. Um, uh, Where is Wednesdays? Not premiering this Wednesday, but premiering next Wednesday of next week. Let me get the date because I don't really explain. Not Wednesday coming, but the Wednesday after that, we will be premiering Where is Wednesdays. It's going to be cold cases that are not like super cold, the 9th, but the 16th, not like 20, 30, 40 years ago, but cold cases, 5, 10, maybe 15 years old that still have a good chance of being solved. It might still be fresh in somebody's memory. Um, Missing persons, maybe even a couple of murders. I kind of want to branch out and do some other stuff besides the kids' cases. I'm just going to be honest with you. The kids' cases really get to me. They really do. When I see what some of these kids go through and the way that they live, um, and that's actually a lot of the reason that I'm going to chop off like 2 cases off the homeschooling series, because the one case is so graphic and so horrible that I can't even bring myself to talk about it. I listened to the interrogations on it, and I was like, this is something people really need to know about. But then every time I try to like go back and do some more research on it and get some more information to put into the homeschooling series to present that case, and the case is Dakota Collins. I'm gonna type his name in there for you guys. But the case is so utterly disturbing that I just can't. I absolutely cannot. Where's the chat? Yeah, I absolutely cannot. ACODA. So if you guys want to go and look into this case, Blue Dot Interrogations has like all the interrogation videos. They have the jail phone calls between the father, his girlfriend, and the girlfriend's sister, those sisters, um, and their mother. Yeah, there's some really good information on this case on Blue Dot Interrogations. That's where I found the case, but it's not a case that I really want to talk about. But if you are interested in like the whole homeschooling dynamic, I can't talk, the whole homeschooling dynamic and how it kind of plays into covering child abuse, that is an excellent case to look into, because this kid was taken out of regular school. They claimed they were homeschooling, never educated him on anything at all. He was basically just, yeah, locked in an attic and tortured for years. So, but yeah, I want to branch out and do some other things because the kids' cases really get to me. I've shed more tears looking at stuff on this channel, which is why I kind of, for a while, it was part of the reason I kind of backed off and really wasn't presenting a lot, because I was like, I can't keep doing this to myself and presenting these cases, because when you get to reading about these children and things that they go through, I know that you on the other side as watching, and caring about these kids, it gets to you. It's a weight to just even think that there's so many people in the world who can do those types of things to children. It's one thing when it's adults, because there could be a motivation. That person could have done something to you, stole something from you, hurt a family member. But what could a kid possibly have done to cause you to have that type of hate and anger towards them? It just doesn't even make sense. So yeah. See you guys Thursday for homeschooling. And the Wednesday after next for Where is Wednesday. Might do a pop-up live here in the next few days, just randomly. Hope to see you guys next time I'm online. Good night.